I think everything looks crazy until it's actually done. I listen to um, some tech podcasts, but the one that I really like is this clean energy podcast. It's actually really good. And sometimes they talk about this technology that seems very, very far-fetched about like laying cables, electrical cables between continents, um, blocking out the sun using geoengineering, where you like, somebody puts things into the sky that blocks out a hot sun, any number of different things, and they seem really, really far-fetched. Um, until you actually see that there genuinely often is people investigating these things. Like real people doing real things. And so it's somewhat plausible. But, at the same time, like, people tend to underestimate the crazy, right? Like things that you're just seeing implied. Crazy is like they seem implausible to us, right? As normal people doing our normal lives. And if you look out and you look out 30 years, right? Or you go back 30 years and you think about like, okay, what would the world have felt like 30 years ago? And project it to the things that we have and see today, everybody would think that what we're going through is crazy. Like they wouldn't comprehend it. That man, like we could do this now, or we could do that, or this is part of our culture, or like how is that possible, right? Like any number of different things. You sort of pick your area, you'd be like blown away, right? And it all seems crazy at the time. The fact that I remember like talking on a screen. And I think it was like Back to the Future has this sort of futuristic thing from the 80s where they're talking to somebody on the screen in their kitchen. And it was like, wow, um, that's not possible. But yet it is today. And everybody does it. And it's common sense. And, we don't bat an eye with any of those particular things. And I want you to think about that in the world around you, that often many things seem completely implausible today, and they probably are. But if you go out 30 years, you go even 20 years, a lot of things that were implausible in the past are completely plausible from at that particular period. Now, often these sort of futurist people get discounted because they seem like quack jobs or whatever, right? Like why, um, it's quackery that they're talking about, and it's very difficult to sort of tease apart and think about like who is actually telling the truth or dismissing other people, what's legitimate. And I want you to just sort of think about like that is a possibility that there are goofy people, right? Like deceiving you, but it's more plausible if there's serious people looking into it that it is a real possibility that it could potentially happen in a lifetime, right? In 30 years. And I want you to get used to, if you listen to this, just get used to that feeling of like, oh wow, that's crazy if that ever happened, but it's plausible. You ask anybody that's over the age of, oh, I don't know, 60 years old, and they would say everything that we have today is a modern miracle. And, like you look at it and you're like, I didn't think that was possible. And yet it is. So I want you to really practice that. The implausibility of things happening are completely plausible.